brick building in town, but they'll have their lawyers out on the street in the 700 block of Montgomery. That is to provide free legal assistance for the earthquake victims there. And Mel Belli wants to challenge all other lawyers to do the same. It's very curious. Yesterday, just before our 4 o'clock news show began, I ran into Mel Belli and a little coterie of people moving into the stadium and said hello, and he shouted back. And then I saw him leaving the stadium as we were about to leave as well yesterday. Well, he's already back and trying to get other lawyers in town to offer free legal assistance. And again, 700 Montgomery, they'll have that group of lawyers out there trying to do what they can. That's at the Belli building in San Francisco if you need help. Now let's go to Willie Monroe. He's at the San Francisco Command Center now, Willie, and just get us up to date.
Well, Pete, at this point, the mayor is meeting with some key members of his staff, some members of the Board of Supervisors and other city officials, trying to come up with a game plan about what to do next. We expect the mayor to come out any moment now. Perhaps we can join him live and get an update directly from him. Prior to that meeting, it's been going on for a little while, though, but prior to that meeting, his aide, Scott Schaefer, came out and gave us some details on some various subjects, assorted information about what's going on around the city. First of all, you heard about the damage at City Hall. He said structural engineers have determined that City Hall is structurally sound, that in fact they expect to open the doors at noon today and have business going on a limited basis. Departments like the courts, the registrar, the Department of Public Works and data processing should be operating there. And if you have to go in there, you will notice there will be yellow barriers, that yellow tape that's around to separate the areas that are safe from the ones that are not safe. The State Office of Emergency Services has provided fuel to the city of San Francisco. That's to keep the muni, police, fire, and ambulance services running around in this town. There isn't really a danger of a fuel shortage, and there certainly isn't one now because of that fuel that is being provided. The San Francisco schools, as you know, are closed. Superintendent Ramon Cortines is conducting a structural assessment of the buildings there. Administrators and some custodians are working. The rest of the staff is off, of course, and the kids are staying home. Muni, as you mentioned, is 63% functioning. No cable cars, of course, and that's because they're concerned about not having any street lights. And most of the other services is back in service, except that going into the Marina District for obvious reasons, and they're being turned or restricted. They're being turned back before they get in there. Los Angeles Mayor Tom Bradley has already joined the effort to help in the recovery here in San Francisco. He has sent, of course, teams of fire inspectors and fire department officials. We noticed those people arriving earlier today, but also we were told that they brought with them some equipment, some sensitive sound equipment used in detecting sound coming out of the rubble. This, of course, in an effort to detect whether any survivors are in the marina buildings or anywhere else in the city. That, along with these dogs that they have available to also search, will be part of that effort. Building inspectors, of course, continue their work to try to find out where the damage is here in San Francisco. Damage estimates have been as much as $1 billion or more. Of course, a lot of this information you may have heard already. Some of it you may have updates on. But Vice President Dan Quayle, of course, has been here, and I understand that he and Secretary Samuel Skinner are scheduled to meet with some local officials at Moffett Field at 11:45 this morning. They've already met with some officials here in Alameda, and I believe, as I am told that is, they were met with some angry complaints from officials about the way the federal government has responded. Perhaps we'll hear more about that. It's not exactly clear what the problem is there. PG&E expects to have power fully restored by later this morning, I am told, by Scott Schaefer, the mayor's aide. AT&T phone reports that their phone network is working fine, that there is a lot of activity on the line, so therefore some of the lines are busy, especially regarding some of the local exchanges. And we talked briefly with Police Chief Frank Jordan, who is also in on this meeting today. We asked him about some of the problems associated with the city and lawlessness after the earthquake yesterday. He tended to minimize the impact of that, said that things are back in order now. He did confirm there were 3 homicides overnight, but he said they were not earthquake related. Perhaps there's a lot more to be learned about that as well, because there are numerous reports of assaults and looting and that sort of thing. That's an update here from the scene. We hope to hear from the mayor any moment now, and hopefully we'll come back as soon as he comes back out.
Willie, can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm puzzled by the complaints. It's been it's been only a matter of hours, quite frankly, since the earthquake itself. Are people concerned that in some way the federal government has not moved in to take control, since normally that's local jurisdiction anyway?
Well, part of it, this is something we have to learn more about. Part of it certainly could be a misunderstanding as to who has what role. For instance, here, this is a local matter, and although there's a state office of emergency services, really the local people are in charge. Mayor Ardagnos is the commander-in-chief in this matter, and he's now conducting the meeting to find out what's going on and what they need to do next.
All right,
well,
well,
it could be a matter of confusion.
That may in fact be that, Willie. We just have this word that the White House has now said that a $250 million is now available. $250 million, that is in unallocated funds for immediate assistance. That's an extraordinarily high figure, higher than they had in fact for Hugo, and in coming in a much faster mode, so we will be able to get that disaster relief money going. Now that's unallocated. Then Congress will act along with the President in concert to come up with more funds as that is needed, and obviously we know that damage is going to be far greater than $250 million, but to have that quickly in less than 24 hours is rather remarkable.
One other thing Pete, are you still there?
Yeah.
One other thing I might add is that State Senator Milton Marks came by earlier, and he has asked the Senate Pro Tem David Roberti to hold the Senate on standby in case they need a special session, in case the state legislature needs to enact some special legislation to appropriate some money. He's also looking to get the same kind of declaration from Assembly Speaker Willie Brown.
Okay. Well, I think, thank you, Willie. That's Willie Monroe at the city's emergency center. Just very quickly, people are going to get very anxious, and patience, as we have suggested, is a key word here, because there is so much damage, and it is so widespread over a number of counties in California. It's going to be very difficult for people to bring all of this together, and they've done a remarkable job so far, but it will be a while until they can assure you of getting the assistance, though we are told from federal, state, and local authorities the assistance will be there. Getting anxious about it is probably a mistake for all of us at this point. A quick mention, I want to go out to Frank Crocker, who's out in the marina, of course, in that terrible situation there, but the baseball commissioner says Game 3 has been canceled or postponed here. It will not be played here in San Francisco today. They will have another announcement at about 5 o'clock this afternoon. This is not exactly high priority for most of us, although it was just 24 hours ago. They'll have another announcement at about 5 o'clock this afternoon on whether the series will be moved to a neutral site. We hear San Diego being considered for that. Frank Crocker now is in that devastated marina area. It is cordoned off to virtually everybody except the local residents who are still in there, and security people and reporters as well. Frank, are you there?
Pete, that's right. You're looking at what is a trademark of the marina, the names of the streets embedded in the cement sidewalks. As we pull out here, you also see that this is some real typical damage in the marina today. As things got lighter out here, we got a better chance to see just exactly what had happened here. We're going to just walk you around here and show you some of what we've been looking at all day. If you can pan down here, Randy, the crack along here is typical on all the marina streets. Cracks are just running down parallel with the curbs, and this buckling that Eric's been talking about, everybody's been talking about actually, is very, very typical in the marina. The sidewalks are coming up. It's not much of a surprise considering many of these sidewalks are hollowed out. As you know, in the marina they've put the PG&E, cable, the phone company has put all their lines, all their workings under the sidewalks over the years to take them off the poles in the marina area. There's just not a lot of dirt. There's a lot of air under these sidewalks, and when that quake rolled through, a lot of this buckled up. This is very typical damage. We're going to walk over here now and show you something that is not so typical, although we've seen it in several instances. You can just walk over here and bear with us for a second. Behind me here is a typical 3-story marina flat in San Francisco's Marina District, and across North Point here at the intersection of North Point and Scott is a twin of that building. What you're looking at was a 3-story marina flat with an entire garage level underneath. The quake rolled through, it simply all fell. It is one level. Randy, if you can pan off to the left there, we've got a contrast problem with the shade, but you should be able to see it. There is a car. That, folks, could you please move? Folks, could you just step back? Thank you. That is a car. The building just leaned to the side, fell out in to North Point and onto that car. As far as we know, no one in this building, no one in this car. This is one of the areas that is cordoned off. They're starting to let some people in here, Pete, some people who can show driver's license and proof of address, as long as their buildings are not like that, obviously, but fairly structurally sound. They're letting them get in, get some of their clothing, any possessions that they might want to get. It's starting to loosen up a little bit here, but we still have a problem that we have had ever since it started to get light out, actually. If you look down there, there are crowds and crowds of people. They are down every street in the marina. They come up to the police barricades. What this really looks like is when the fireworks let out on the 4th of July at Crissy Field. The marina is crawling with people, and you know that at least 90% of these folks don't live here. They're coming down to see what they can see. Obviously, there is that curiosity, but it's really causing problems.
Frank, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, Frank, I spent some time after I came in trying to explain that to folks. You know, the curiosity level is so high here, it is just causing so many problems. You're absolutely right. I wanted to ask you a specific question, though. Are you near the Cervantes Fillmore collapse that Eric was talking about earlier? Can you even see that from where you are?
No, we can't. It's actually about 3 blocks over. Well, and I've gone by there several times today.
Well, we have some information now on that, and there have been 8 bodies recovered, and there are still 2 bodies in the building itself. We know this from the Cervantes Fillmore collapse, the one we showed earlier on tape. As far as we understand, there are at least 5 adults at 4th and Biloxi, that's at 1665 6th Street. 5 people taken from there. We know that at least 3 other people taken from another address next door, including a 3.5-month-old baby that was taken to Pacific Med Center. We don't have names on that. I'm giving these figures purely, again, to emphasize the seriousness of all of this and to ask people to stay away. This is not something for curiosity. This is something that involves death and the end of people's lives as they see it, and we're just asking people to stay away, as are the police and all the emergency folks. Frank Crocker live in the marina, and we'll be back to you as soon as we can get back there. I just quickly want to go to this tape because it might help you understand some of what we've been looking at. These scenes were filmed back in 1915. The year of the Pan-Pacific Exposition. That was when the area was landfill down there, and new buildings constructed for the fair. This all done on basically old sand dunes. That's one reason why most of the damage was in that part of the city yesterday, as we understand it. The fair was actually a celebration of the rebirth of San Francisco, held 9 years after the 1906 quake, and yet here the irony so obvious. They put in all that landfill, and where does the damage happen? Right down there where they were celebrating the rebirth of the city of San Francisco. Again, these old Pan-Pacific Exposition notes. Peter Giddings is here now, and to try to, this is probably a good idea because it gives people a handle on their lives again. We want to just give them a quick rundown on some of the weather they can expect and so on. And it's been kind of strange weather these last 2 days. Yeah. We've had this Indian summer.
Well, what's happened is we had a ridge of high pressure that moved in, and as we've lost power here, I am in constant touch with the National Weather Service. Jan Null, the lead forecaster, and I just got finished discussing all of the permutations and combinations of what could happen. It's not nice. The ridge seems like it's going to break down, so I'm going to give you a blow-by-blow. For today, it's warmer by 2 or 3 degrees, as many as 3 or 5 in some places. Tonight, patchy coastal fog will start moving in, and you can look for temperatures to be in the low 50s. On Thursday, the ridge will still be in place, but you'll start seeing high clouds moving in, and the temperature is going to be down 10 degrees on the coast, 5 degrees inland. By Thursday night, rain will start on the north coast. Now, that's Thursday night, rain on the north coast, drizzle on our coast, and temperatures are going to be in the upper 40s, low 50s. On Friday, in the morning hours, sometime after dawn, Pete, we should be getting rain in the Bay Area, and it should stay with us for the better part of the day. It's going to be colder than normal by about 5 degrees. So for us here at the station, it means about 65 degrees. Then Friday night, that should go to scattered showers. And there is another system behind this one, a pinwheel effect. It looks like there could be more rain on Saturday.
Well, that's just what we need, Peter. Well, again, I think we have to reemphasize that if you're going to camp out, if you're going to do these things, plan ahead. Be prepared to take what you can with you. You may have some leaks and so on to deal with in the house, so it is good that we've got that weather situation
Well, the
down.
temperatures from today will be down some 20 degrees in just a matter of 48 hours.
And once again, we're asking people, as have all the emergency folks, the folks at PG&E, please don't use appliances that you don't have to use. If you've got an air conditioning system in the house, try not to use that. It's just too much of a desperate need for this in grid areas around the Bay Area that have been heavily damaged. Another quick message for you here. Marin Humane Society will board and care free of charge animals whose owners are unable to do so at this point. Their address is 170 Bell Marin Keys Boulevard. That is in Novato, 883-4621. And we also had a note that several Macy's stores will be open today, with some exceptions, but Macy's stores will be open. We mention that to you not to advertise for Macy's, but because people may need household goods and so on, and some clothing, because there are a lot of folks who are not going to be able to go back in their houses, and the Macy's stores are open. Now, where are we going next? All right, Marty Gonzalez is with us now from the East Bay. Marty, are you there? This is at 880, where, of course, we've had this horrible situation since the earthquake yesterday. Go ahead, Marty.
I'm not sure if you can hear us. Right now, we are at the intersection of 24th and Peralta in Oakland, and somewhere behind all the gawkers and the sightseers, you can see some heavy... Hear
you, Marty. Go ahead.
All right, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Okay. Somewhere behind the gawkers and the sightseers, you can see the heavy equipment that has been moved in here. We're at 24th and Peralta. This is pretty much the heart of the devastation of I-880. Mike, if we can come around here, let's show you the parade of cars that are coming through here. This is unbelievable. In the midst of this massive rescue effort and this massive cleanup, we have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people who apparently have nothing better to do than to come by here and take a look around. And that is part of the problem that you see here. Here's a Caltrans truck that's trying to get through, and he's having a lot of trouble trying to make it through because there's just so many people here just watching. And, you know, I know we've talked about it all day, and we'll continue to talk about it, but they are just people are just continuing to come over here and literally get in the way. And I can't emphasize enough to, you know, please stay away from the area, because these people have a tough enough job as it is. And a lot of these people are just making it tougher. That's the scene out here, Pete.
All right, Marty. I don't know exactly how to re-emphasize that. Now, we've tried to do it 2 or 3 times, and it doesn't do us any good to sit here and scold folks, but that isn't the place to be. Not there, not at the marina, not any place that there has been this damage. The damage is going to stay, but people have died in those places. People have lost their homes in those places, and we don't need crowds of folks. We're going to go to Dr. Carla Perez and talk a bit about the psychology of all of this and why we're seeing some of the things we're seeing, why people have been behaving the ways that they have. I want to hold on because I've just gotten word, Carla, that Bill Honig is on the phone, State Superintendent of Schools. Bill, are you there?
Yes.
Okay. Can you give us a general overview of situations? Because we get these conflicting reports, some schools open, some schools closed, and we're not, frankly, sure how to deal with it.
Well, what we did is we did a survey this morning, so we have the latest information.
Okay.
On which ones are open. I can read it to you if you want.
Please
Take me
do.
about 30 seconds.
Sure, please do.
Okay, well, Marin County, they're all open. Santa Clara, they're all closed except for 3 districts, Franklin, McKinley, Oak Grove, and Milpitas. San Mateo, they're all closed. Alameda, they're all open except for Alameda, Berkeley, Piedmont, and Oakland. Contra Costa, they're Walnut Creek, Orinda, Acalanes, Lafayette, Moraga, and 2 schools in the Richmond district, Verde Elementary in Washington. We haven't been able to get through to Santa Cruz or San Benito. Those are particularly hard hit, so we have no information.
You're still not getting through to those folks?
No, that's in San Francisco, they're all closed, and Monterey, they're all closed. Excuse me, they're all open except for Alisal and 1 school in Salinas, the Frank Paul Elementary. Now, what the reason they're closed is because local people are checking for structural damage, for open wires, for asbestos, and so forth. We think most schools will be open tomorrow. And what we're going to do around 4 o'clock today, we've got the schools giving us the information. We will be able to give it to you all, and what the damage is, how many schools look like they're going to be okay, and get the word out then to parents about what to do tomorrow. We know 6 or 7 schools in San Francisco look like they may not open. A couple of schools in Oakland look on the warning list. other than that, things look pretty good.
All right, Bill, very quickly, are they going to try to reorder those school lists to get kids to other schools eventually? We know we can't do this in 24 or 48 hours, but are they going to, is that probably what they'll do if they have damage?
They are going to tell us what they're going to do. So most likely, most kids will be accommodated unless it's overwhelming in a district. For example, Hollister, the school's either on fire, or burnt, or had a major problem. They've obviously got to figure out other alternatives, and we're having problems communicating down there. But most places, we'll be able to get pretty good information out to you this afternoon, and so if parents will listen to the media, listen to TV, listen to radio, they will find out what to do.
Well, we are having just as much trouble contacting those folks hardest hit down there in the Monterey, Santa Cruz area, I should say, the Santa Cruz area. If you hear anything, will you let us know?
We are in contact with your people, and in fact, we've gotten some information from them too. So it's been a good working relationship.
All right, thank you, sir, for calling in. That's State Superintendent of Schools Bill Honig. And again, parents are being told in general, except in places where there's been less damage and that the school population is all sort of surrounding the schools, not bus distance away, to try to keep the kids away from school, at least for today. Most of the schools being closed in the heavily hit areas, as you heard. Dr. Carla Perez is with us now. We thought we would ask her to come in and talk a bit about the stress of all of this and how people are dealing with it. We've seen some remarkable things so far. We've seen people trying to help. We're also seeing the thing we do not see. We do not need gapers. We do not need gawkers in a situation like this. But this is normal, isn't it?
Well, Pete, my hunch is everybody's anxious, and if the question is whether you handle your anxiety constructively or destructively. And the constructive thing to do, I think, is to comfort your own family and any immediate neighbors that need help, this kind of thing. The destructive thing is to handle your anxiety by going and looking at this very scary event for all of us.
What kinds of suggestions, and I've heard you talk about these things before, every time there's something that happens, whether it's a big plane wreck and so on, what kinds of things ought we to try to keep in the back of our minds if we're dealing with damage ourselves?
Well, with damage, I guess what's coming to my mind, I don't know if it's dealing with damage, is let's keep track of our priorities. I mean, if our immediate family and our loved ones are okay, let's not get absorbed with the other things right now. And I guess the next thing is, like, I have a friend that comes from the Marina apartment that was burned. The next order of business is your property and your job, but don't mix it up with what's important, which is the people, which really is the people. And the other thing is gradually sort it out. I have to add one thing, the only happy people, I have 3 children at home that are in 7th heaven, so, somebody gives you perspective. But the important thing is not let your anxiety spill into just frantically tying up the phone, going looking, getting in the way of the helpers.
Frankly, if you want to do something and you feel as though you have this need to do it, and it's a perfectly natural thing to do, because we're going to all, as we've said, have to work together to try to pull all of this back in some sort of shape. The Red Cross is trying to help, so obviously you can call there and offer some assistance. We've heard the police department talk about trying to gather food for the emergency workers, the police themselves, who've been working, in fact, without sleep now since 5 o'clock yesterday. You can do that kind of thing. You can send us a check here to our Earthquake Fund at Channel 7, 900 Front Street, San Francisco, 94111, and we will get that money to the earthquake assistance as well. But the best thing to do is to try to sit tight and deal with your own situation.
Right, deal with your own and contribute in ways that people are saying they need help, rather than just flying off and going in directions that you get in the way of the help.
Unfocused doesn't help here.
No.
Oh, okay.
But focus on the fact that most of us are okay.
Is it a perfectly normal thing to see people trying to do some of the things they're seeing here? You see some really heroic efforts. For instance, we've just been out with Marty Gonzalez. We're seeing the gawkers on the one hand, but there have been people trying to crawl into that crawl space overnight, people without the experience, maybe with a few hand tools and so on, trying to get in there to get people out. And it seems to me every time we see something like this how extraordinary that is.
Moving. I think what happens is the earth is so out of our control that we knock ourselves out to do something that we can do. So sometimes you see some very wonderful things come out of it.
Well, Doctor, we'll be back to you, Dr. Carla Perez, and she'll try to comfort us as best she can here. It is not easy to deal with this, and you have to get inside yourself and your own heart to handle these things. Let's go to Carol Ivy now. Carol is in Santa Cruz. Carol?
I am. I'm at the Pacific Garden Mall in Santa Cruz, which, as you know, is where the most damage was sustained here in the county. What you're looking at behind me are some members of the police and fire department emergency crews. They are here because even though they don't believe there are any more people trapped in these buildings here, it's just in case they find find more people, more survivors, or perhaps more victims. 2 people, as you know, were killed inside the department store behind me. Earlier this morning, they took us on a walkthrough of the mall, and it was really pretty amazing. They took dogs in to search through the rubble. There are cars, trees are on top of the cars. It's just complete devastation where there once were stores and restaurants. When I drove in this morning, it took me twice as long. I was in the city all last night covering the damage there in the Marina District and other places. I drove to Santa Cruz from the city, and it took me almost 4 hours. I took Highway 1, which was the only way I could get through, and yet when I got to the city of Santa Cruz, the thing that really shocked me, and we're going to try to get out there later today, is the long lines of people at markets that aren't even open yet. There was a line stretching around the block on Mission Street of people waiting to get into a 7-Eleven. People just simply are not able to get supplies. There is virtually nothing open. One market was letting people in 2 at a time. Again, it's the kind of scene that's just absolutely unimaginable. And Pete, I think you mentioned earlier that people really shouldn't come to these areas to take a look. You can't see them from here because this area is blocked off. But all around the Garden Mall, there are thousands of people simply standing at the police lines as if they expect to see something happen. And it's just creating more of a problem than these guys need. They're doing what they can. They're trying to see if there are any other people inside these buildings. And so you're right. Please stay away unless you have business here.
This isn't the Saturday afternoon demolition derby, and to try to understand what the people feel inside of those blocked off areas. And Carol, I think we ought to mention again, for people who have that urge to go and to look, that it is almost impossible to get to Santa Cruz. In order to do that, you're going to have to put yourself through quite an agony in an automobile, and so don't do it. Carol, can we go back to Carol if we can for just a second? I don't want her to leave because there are a couple of questions about the area. Now, reporters go in, as Tony did last night, as you're doing now. Carolyn's trying to fly over the area, but it's really hard for you to get a general assessment of the whole area. Have you talked to anybody that can tell us about, for instance, the areas up in Bonnie Doon and up in the mountains, the Big Trees area, where we can't get at those spots?
You're absolutely right, Pete. It's very difficult to get an assessment. We understand there are emergency crews going into the mountains to see what the damage might be there. Just outside of the mall here, there are some older homes that have been damaged, and I hope to be able to get over there. The security here is so tight that once you get locked into a position, it's difficult to go anywhere else. They're being very careful about where they're letting people, even the news crews, go. We are hoping to find out a little more this afternoon about those people up in the mountains. I used to live up in the Santa Cruz Mountains, and I know how isolated that area is. There are some roads that probably are impassable if there's any damage at all done to them. There are a lot of dirt roads leading to maybe 4 or 5 homes. You mentioned Bonnie Doon and Felton in that area. So far, we've not heard any word of fatalities, but again, people are just starting to go in. There is a fire burning about 30 miles north of here in one of the forests, and it is believed that fire was started by something related to the earthquake, some sort of a cable. You may have mentioned it already to our viewers, that goes through that area, perhaps got hot, caught on fire when the earthquake hit. And the last we heard, close to 40 acres had burned. I can see a little bit of smoke from here. You can't see it. Again, we are going to be checking with emergency people later to see just what is going on outside of this immediate area, Pete. So far, the fatalities in the county stand at 5, but there apparently are many injuries, and we will be filling you in on that later.
Okay, and we give those fatality figures, Carol, you know this, we give them with the proviso that they're going to change. We know that. They may not be accurate. They may be not accurate on the high side. So it's difficult to say at this point, especially as Carol's emphasized. There are so many places around Santa Cruz, in the county down there, and to the north and south, that are so isolated. It'll be very hard to get into those for probably days to come. We've been getting flooded with calls here from people who are concerned about the pet situation. We've talked about this a bit. I don't know what the percentage of people who have house pets may be, but they get very anxious about them if they have to leave their homes and may not know what to do about them. Well, Dick Avanzino's with us now from the Humane Society, can give us some notion of what's been going on and some things that you might suggest for folks.
Well, if we're going to have to leave the animal alone, Pete, what we'd like to do is leave them with plenty of water. So if we have running water, let's fill up our bathtub with a fair amount of water, or get a sink that the animal can reach and leave it with a lot of water. Also leave a considerable amount of food out. If we're going to be interacting with the animal because they are scared, they've gone through the same ordeal that we have, let's be very reassuring. Let's be very much in control. To the extent that we can do that for ourselves, let's still give that animal all the love and the comfort and patience and empathy that we feel for the fact that it's also dealt with this trauma.
Yeah, it was very interesting getting home at about 3:30 last night, and when I got out of the car, and I live up on a ridge in Marin County near Mount Tamalpais, and it sounded like wolves out there, and what it was the dogs hollering bloody murder. Still, this is, what, 8 hours, 9 hours after the quake itself. So clearly the animals suffer from this as well, and I know there are people out there saying, goodness gracious, why are we worried about the animals when we've got a lot of human beings to worry about? But the fact is that there's so many people who care about pets, and so we want to give some quick tips.
For instance, where there are shelters like here in San Francisco, and the Red Cross has opened up these things because they don't allow animals. The Red Cross and the San Francisco SPCA have established a relationship so we can take care of the pets, so people can be taken care of too, because we found in many situations that people don't want to leave or abandon their animal to an uncertain future. So in those counties where they are taking up residence with Red Cross shelters, please contact the humane organizations in your community so they can provide temporary housing for those pets.
Dick, thank you very much. Appreciate it, Dick Avanzino. And again, these are sort of general things, but use your head. The animals may take off on you if there's a way to get out of the house, but they'll try to come back. What they're going to do is look for their own shelter. It's only a natural thing.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, thank you, sir. I want to just run over the road closures again for you so that you understand some of these main areas that we have concern. And I don't know if they have lists of lists up on graphics. We can run those at the same time that I'm reading these. But Highway 280 extension, the elevated section from Highway 101 at 6th Street is closed. The Central Freeway, Highway 101 at 9th, both directions closed. Highway 480, both directions closed. Highway 280 at Mora, this is closed. Highway 101 at 3rd is closed. Park Presidio, MacArthur Tunnel to Golden Gate Bridge, partially closed. Southbound 101, the Marina District, is closed. Now, the ferry services today, Red and White Fleet, Blue and Gold Fleet, they are operating, and they're trying to take people from some specific areas. Jack London Square to San Francisco Ferry Building, that's running every 45 minutes. It's $4 one way. Ferry services tomorrow, 6 a.m. to midnight, so they're extending it. Jack London Square, the ferry building, Richmond Harbor to the ferry building, running every 30 minutes, $4 one way. Now, again, they're going to extend those hours. They may change the policy. They're going to try to get as many people across. Again, these are from Oakland to the ferry building here in San Francisco, because very clearly, of course, the main east to west, west to east route, the Bay Bridge is down, and so we have that problem. Let me try now to sum up some of the things that have gone on, and if you're just joining us or trying to check periodically, we'll